Tonight's shave is with the same brush I've used the last few nights. Rubberset 400, restored handle. I do have big hands, and this is not all that of a thick handle. However, these veins give it a little thicker look, and they do give you nice places to put your digits. And I bowl lather usually, and so having this margin here for the lather to come up often keeps my fingers pretty clean. Inside of it is a B5 Declaration Grooming knot. That is something that I like. The razor, oh hey, before we move on to there, let's soak the badger. If you just want to get it wet and set it aside, I have heard people do that. I personally just kind of like to let mine sit there in just a little bit of water. It's hard water. It's kind of chilly. It's winter. The razor we're going to use today, I've been talking online trying to help a guy who's having trouble with his Futur. I assume that's how you pronounce this German razor from Merkur. And you can tell that it's a legit one. You know, there are clones out there because I think Merkur lost the patent on it after a long, number of years owning it. And I finally found out, but right there it says Merkur, and so it's not a clone. I did buy the Q-Shave razor long before I got this one. I've only shaved with this one a couple times. The Q-Shave is a good clone for me. It's actually a little thinner in body, so it's not a perfect duplication. The actual Merkur razor is thicker and heavier. But they both shave well for me. Now, I have heard of some of the clones as being very aggressive. Now, I know that one person said the Ming Shi version of this razor was that way. At least his was. I don't know if all of them are or some of them or whatever, but anyway, just to know out there, there are some that are apparently, even if you set them to a really low setting, are very aggressive. All right, so the way you get the razor off, the way I do it is just to pop it off from the edges like that, and then you can just lift this guy off. And so he is now ready to receive. And the blade that the guy was using was a feather blade, and so that's what I'll be using today. I haven't used a feather in a long time. And as you can see, if you're not aware, look at that waxy residue there. I put an X on there to show that this is a blade that I'm going to use until it runs out. Kind of marathon it. I'm mainly focusing on my Nasset right now. So this guy does not have many uses, but man, I hate it when they do that waxy residue. That just sucks. And then it gets all in your razor. I mean, look at, see if I can angle. Yeah, see, there we go. Look at that gunk. Anyway, I may try to turn on the hot water and melt some of that away. I don't know. But I'll put that in. The soap that we've got today is Cella, what I've been using lately. I used about twice as much soap 3 or 4 days ago using the scoop method. The 1/4 teaspoon measure that I used, that's almost twice as much soap as I need. A lot of the artisan soaps do need the full 1/4 teaspoon. Not Cella. It's not filled with as many butters and oils and things like that. It's more of a soap, and so it takes a lot less to get the job done. And cherry, almond, marzipan type scent. Awesome little red container. I like it a lot. The next time I used it, I thought, hey, let's dial this down, because I don't want to run with the whole batch of lather. I want to try to narrow it down to an amount that I'll use and not be wasteful. And so I did a 30-second load, I think. But anyway, I added too much water, and it really thinned it down. And I noticed that this soap appears to look like it has a lot of structure. A lot of, I think structure is really a good word. It will look like it's all puffy and even have some rigidity to it. And if some of those American artisan soaps exhibit those qualities, most of the time you need to add more water. Cella's different. And I've learned that over the last few days. And so I ended up having two times of wet lather. And then yesterday I said, you know what? I just had a wet lather that day. It was too wet. You'd go to feel your fingers and it was just too wet and watery. Even though it looked like it would take good pictures in the bowl. If I were to scoop it all up in a brush, take a photo, it would look great. But it was too slick. I mean, too watery. It wasn't, the water was drying on my skin, not providing quite as much slickness as I wanted, and as any well-lathered soap will give you. And so then I said, I was just frustrated. So I paused the video and I just whipped up a great lather using 40 seconds of loading, but then only about half of the syringe. And before I was using more of it. And half of the syringe is 1 teaspoon. So I think I've got, and it ended up to be fabulous. It was so slick. So test early with the fingers is what I'm going to try to remember. It takes much less water because you're using much less product. I'll just try to remember that, and I'm sure that we'll be fine. So that's why we're using Cella today. It's also one of my favorites. Don't know why, it just is. Maybe the bowl is just cute. Maybe it's the way that it locks into place really pleasantly and easily. I don't know. All right, I've told you everything. I'm going to wet my face. We'll get to it. Well, I tried heating the tap water up to maximum, and I was not able to melt away the waxy substance there. It just wasn't hot enough. I'm just not going to bother with it. I'm not going to try to wipe it or anything anymore. I tried to wipe it just a little bit with a piece of toilet paper, but let's just roll on. And so it does sit on there, as you can see, kind of gingerly. You got a couple of alignment posts there, and so just be careful and take your time with it. And these posts here will go right in the blade holes. Press down until it clicks, and we're good. All right, I want to start with setting of 3, just kind of middle of the road. And I guess 3.5 is actually middle of the road between 1 and 6. But we'll stick with 3. He said he was having trouble at 1. And now sometimes adjustables can get overclocked or underclocked because the mechanism gets set wrong. Maybe somebody who didn't know what they were doing was using it. I've had to repair an old Fat Boy with that. Now I think that's maybe less likely with the more modern ones, but I'm just throwing the idea out there. Basically what would happen was the setting from 1 to 9 was like it was screwed down a little too closely or too high, because it was always mild no matter what you dialed it into. But then if you turned it all the way down and then or all the way up and then relieved the pressure and tripped it over a little bit more, then you'd start at 1 again, and now it was in the proper range, you see. All right, so we'll set it at 3 and see what happens. And now let's do the loading. Working on a 24-hour shave today. 24-hour beard growth. I'm gonna, just like I did the other day, get rid of most of the water in the brush. All right, now we'll do a 40-second load, just like I did before. We're coming up to the end of the minute, and go. All right. This brush doesn't have a lot of splay to it. These bristles are very dense, a lot of backbone. So it's very suited for this small tub of soap. So it's about 30 seconds down. I'm just putting medium pressure on the soap, not pressing down super hard. And 40 seconds right there. Let's just kind of collect up the excess. Looks pretty good. Rinse rinse away I hold the puck upside down so I can rinse away the part in the threads, because it's easy to do it now, harder to do it when the soap dries. All right, so we know not to add very much water. Test early in the mixing process. Can actually get a good ways here with Cella, because there was some water in the brush that it will actually put out a little surprising amount of lather, but it'll probably be a little too thick and dry. And in light of the fact that it only took a teaspoon of lather of water yesterday, I might put in 1/2 teaspoon and see how this lather feels. Just was totally caught off guard with how little water this soap needs, just because you're using such little product. Barrister and Man, holy cow, so many of those other soaps, Artisans, even top ones that are really good, they've just added other elements to the soap, oils and butters and things like that to help you with post feel, to make it just really good for your skin. And that's fine. I'm not saying anything's wrong with that at all, but this used about half as much product to get 3.5 passes of lather. I mean, shoot, I haven't added any water at all, and and look what we've got. So let's add I'm going to go ahead and fill the syringe up all the way as usual, and but right now we're only going to add 1/2 teaspoon there. Maybe all those oils and butters will just allow those artisan soaps to stay lower, to not bulk up quite like this so early. And therefore it threw off my indicators. But that's what I've always said, is that, depending on what you want or depending on the soap, the indicators may change. And so I just hadn't brush loaded. Oh, you know what? Let's test it right quick before we add any more. Get a chunk of it. Wonderful cushion there, just has a great feel. I can feel the ridges in my fingerprints just a little bit. I think I might actually stop with this. Let's try it. I think I'll just be really enjoying this lather. So let's just make sure it's fully uniform here, and then we get a good mix. I mean, if you want to make it thinner, you can. It can hold a lot of water. The other day I basically put 4 times as much water in this soap. And it looks nice. It looks all elastic. And when other soaps get to that point and look that way, they are just golden. Well, this guy was just too thin. All right. Let's take a look at the elasticity here. Pretty rigid. If I can pull it out where it's got a little bit of stringiness like that to it, then it'll flop over. But It's really got a lot of structure to it. Look how big that is, and it's not really moving very much. So there we go. Let's test it one more time now that I've mixed it some more. Yeah, same feeling. Let's go ahead and shave with it. And one more time, water on the face. Now I have had some lathers feel this way, and it was because the lather really was too dry, and it was waiting for more water. And so it felt kind of thin because the water had not stepped into the picture to kind of activate this soap and get all sudsy and awesome. And how you can tell what happens is, if you've done that, is you'll start to put on your layers, and more soap will just start to come out of your brush. And that's because you're mixing it and increasing the matching up the water and the soap. And there was just soap in there that needed to find the water. And so that's one way to know that you maybe need to keep adding a little bit more water and get a good mix. It looks a little thin now, but we're just in the scrubbing phase, cleaning out hair follicles, removing debris, dirt, dead skin. All right, that's done. Now let's switch. Just see what happens with this one. And now I've switched to the painting motions, and I'm just laying down a layer all over the place. There we go. Let's see what happens. All right, first pass, so we'll go kind of with the grain. That is a very consistent, smooth cutting action, sliding through those hairs nicely. You know, I'm hearing the hairs being cut. Not so much, I'm barely even feeling it. So to me, I mean, that's right on the money. That's mid-range. If I want it more smooth, I can dial it down. If I want it to get aggressive, I can dial it up. And it does seem to be, at least for my razor right here and for my skin, and with this blade, the 3 settings seems to be giving me an appropriate mid-range experience. This is excellent. Very predictable. You know, what it really feels like is just kind of, you know, flicking a credit card across your beard. I don't know if you ever did that when you were a kid, your ID card or something, flicking it across your skin and just hearing that sound. Because you don't feel any cutting, it's just that sound and the feeling of an edge moving across your face. That's really more what I'm getting here. All right, rinse time. Now, just for grins, after the rinse here, I've left some droplets on my face. So this is like adding a little bit of water to the soap. Let's see what it does to the soap when I put it on. If the soap starts to flourish and get more creamy, and maybe this soap needed a little bit more water. Brush feels terrific, nice and soft. That is why I chose the B5 after reading reviews on it. A lot of the batches that he makes are more scritchy and scrubby and have a lot of backbone. That's what some people like, not me. So the B5 was the one to try to grab, is what I gathered. No, you know what? My little trick to leave some water on my face, it didn't really tell me anything. It did, I think it did dilute it just a hair, but lather just looks really good. And there we go. And with this one, because the handle and the head turn to make the adjustments, when I do a flick, if I forget to hold lock the cap in place here with my fingers to just keep it from moving. So before each pass, I'm just going to check the setting and make sure it's not moving around on me. Cross grain pass now. Well, I forgot to do the cross grain right there. So this is a very smooth pass, you know, since most of the hair's been removed. Very smooth. I'm using a feather blade, but and often when I was just starting out, I would end up with 2 or 3 cuts every time I shaved with a feather. Again, I'm not getting a whole lot of glide from this lather. A little bit, but it's kind of dissolving quickly. I wonder if I need to, wonder which way to go. Increase the soap quantity to, that's probably the way I might go. So that there's more soapy product, you know what I mean? All right, rinse. Oh, that good scent. It's just kind of a round. It's really nice. So about to put on the third pass. Here's what my lather looks like and how much is left. I've loaded up my brush, ready for my pass. Now this is mostly done from kind of trying to widen out the splay of my brush by pushing the soap into the center of the brush's core to kind of make it thicker, and just makes it feel better on my face, because I do like to apply lather with a little bit of splay. Some people don't, I guess. But I think that's a lot of the great feel that I get when shaving is from the splay of a good brush. So we spread it around with kind of the scrubbing motions. So let's now just switch to laying down that layer like usual. There we go, plenty of soap left. All right. Setting hasn't moved from 3. Matter of fact, I barely felt it on my cheeks earlier. Let's clock it up to a 4. Well, this is the tricky area of my neck right here, and it's feeling very good, very controlled. My hair growth in my neck area is this direction, and so by doing this, it's kind of a cross grain pattern. I can't do a with the grain pattern on my neck because of the concave nature. The center of the blade just wouldn't cut anything, and so I basically do, since the direction is this way, I'll do cross. In the early stages of the shave, I'll usually come from here down to here, or from here up to here. and that maintains mostly a with the grain feature or aspect to it. Then toward in the third pass, and then maybe the half pass after that, I'll switch, grain going this way, and I'll come from the other side and come down like this, or I'll come from the bottom like that and do a cross grain pattern that has a slight against the grain aspect to it. And normally my skin will not tolerate against the grain, especially in my neck area, and it will give me cuts and razor rash. But I learned that those types of strokes will usually get me off scot-free without a problem. Yeah, nice feel on the lather. That's a good shave. That's a really good result. That's above average. This is a good combination for my skin. It might not be for yours, but for mine, as it turns out. All right, I'm gonna rinse. So I had good glide with the razor, and so I think that I'm on the right track with the lessening the water by quite a significant amount for a 40-second load with a Cella. To tell you the truth, all that I added was a half a teaspoon. I might be tempted to try it without adding anything at all, just with the light water that was in the brush, and trying that and see what happened. So here's kind of what we had left, a little bit more. It feels, it's terrific. Look at that. It's got a great look to it. See if the light can do me some favors here. Very soft, nice and slick. I am really curious if I just lessen the water even more, if I can get more creaminess out of it, but I don't know, maybe I don't want to. I don't know. It's really nice. This is good. Man, that water is cold. It's so cold tonight I may have to turn on the warm so that I can rinse my brush. All right, well there we go. So for me, the feather inside of the Merkur Futur is a big hit. Now I don't really like this razor because the end caps cover up the razor edge, and so you've got quite a margin of material on the outside here before you get into your cutting edge, and so it's harder to line up where the blade edge is going to be. And then I just don't like worrying about am I moving my setting when I shake the razor out, you know. So that's just me. So I'll probably end up selling this one, but I'll put a few blades through it just so I'll have some good data before I do. The brush, very smooth today. Didn't shove my skin around very much. That's probably a testament to the slickness and creaminess of the lather. I think when the lather is better and has some of that cushion to it, I think the hairs react and move around with a little bit more space between them as it blooms, and that gives me a little bit less backbone and much more enjoyable shave for what I want. Let's see, yeah, so we're good. Man, this stuff is it's just terrific. How about that? This is the vintage cap, and if you see some of these on eBay, you might end up actually with the newer version of the soap delivered to your door, because the company that has done the soap just hasn't bothered to change the inventory picture in eBay, and so they made a label change. I don't know when they did it, but they did, and so they just haven't bothered to change it. I mean, it's the same soap, it's great, but if you're looking for this classic look, you might have to do a little bit more work. All right. I contacted Cella one time and they said, don't know what's on there. There's the picture and that's the product, and I don't know what's going to be back in the warehouse kind of thing. I decided to go for today's balm as the Prix de Provence number 63. Kind of a warm, spicy scent, very manly. And I don't know enough about balms and their ingredients. I don't know what are the bad ones, except for maybe parabens, and some people think those aren't bad. But I know this one generally makes me feel good and love the scent. The soap that goes with this name is a wonderful soap. It's really hard. It will last a very long time. It's a triple milled soap. It's French, and it doesn't really cost all that much when you compare how many uses you get out of it. I think it's just 17 bucks or something, and that's the same price as some of the premium top tier artisan soaps in America, and yet you will get, I don't know, 6 times as many uses, 6 times for your money, the number of uses. So nice scent on this one. It doesn't have an ingredients list, otherwise I'd show you. But there we go. Love the scent. I've got oily skin, so even if a balm kind of deserts me and isn't very effective, my natural skin oils take over. So it's kind of like cheating that way, but I'll take it. All right. Yeah, that's a good scent. I'm gonna finish cleaning up and we'll be done. What a great shave with that feather blade inside this razor, and the 3 setting was perfect at first. Just no irritation or aggression or tugging, just a light sensation of moving it through across my skin. And yes, I did bump it up to the 4 for the 3rd pass, and that, again, it didn't trip up at all. It didn't get rough on me all of a sudden. It stayed excellent, predictable. It is holding. Let's see, what are we doing? I was just looking how it holds. It doesn't clamp down near the edge of the blade like my favorite razors do, but it still felt more under control than, as I'm looking at it, than I would assume I would feel. So kudos. Just a well-designed razor, as it turns out. Loving this balm scent. That's very nice. The Cella soap does not, at least that I can tell, remain resident on you after the shave at all. I can't even smell it on my brush after having shaved with it for like 3 days in a row. A lot of times I'll get different nuances of the scent by smelling my brush afterwards, and it wasn't the case. It's not on there at all. I can't pick it up. All right, we're pretty much cleaned up. I think I've commented about all the stuff. I hope this was helpful for you. And I discovered a great combination that's just really, really comfortable. Very nice. Really happy about that. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Take care. Good night.